Bubba Wallace got wrecked by a fellow Toyota driver, lost a runner-up finish to a controversial penalty, and then faced something even worse. His own team owner, Denny Hamlin, went on his podcast and told the entire NASCAR world that his driver was the one in the wrong. This was not a rival taking a shot. This was the man who signs his checks. And if you think being on a team means blind loyalty in NASCAR, what happened this week inside the Toyota camp just proved otherwise. So the real question hanging over this entire story is simple. In NASCAR, does the word team mean loyalty, or does it mean nothing at all? Stick around, because this story has 3 separate disasters packed into one weekend. And if you want more breakdowns like this one, make sure you are subscribed. Let us set the scene. The Quaker State 400 at EchoPark Speedway in Atlanta was supposed to run on Sunday, July 12. Instead, a massive rain and lightning delay pushed the finish deep into Monday morning, with the checkered flag finally flying at nearly 2 a.m. On July 13, 2026, and before all the chaos, Bubba Wallace was having a genuinely strong night. He had one of the fastest cars in the field, he led 11 laps, and he ran at the front for the bulk of the evening. Everything was pointing toward a big result for the number 23 Toyota. Then came the final lap, and this is where everything changed. Bubba Wallace took the white flag in 3rd position behind Carson Hocevar and Ryan Blaney. Entering turn 1, Wallace shoved Ryan Blaney to the race lead. As the number 12 car swung high on Carson Hocevar, the number 23 Toyota darted to the bottom down the backstretch, making it 3 wide for the top spot. In the process, he dropped below the double yellow line and remained next to Hocevar and Blaney through turns 3 and 4 when a shove from Christopher Bell propelled Blaney to the victory. Bubba Wallace crossed the finish line second, believing he had salvaged a hard-fought runner-up finish after a marathon night. That happiness lasted for about 30 seconds. NASCAR immediately reviewed the tape, and just like that, his entire night unraveled. Officials ruled that Wallace violated Section 8.7.2a of the NASCAR rulebook. The rule states, passing below the double-painted lines to advance position will result in a black flag. NASCAR determined that Wallace entered the corner in 3rd and finished in 2nd while below the line, which meant he advanced his position illegally. The penalty dropped the number 23 Toyota all the way to 29th, the last car on the lead lap. The numbers here are brutal. The final lap penalty cost Wallace 27 championship points alone. And because he was dropped to the tail end of the lead lap, 27 other drivers gained an additional point that they would not have scored, meaning he effectively lost 28 points to 27 different competitors. He also dropped from 12th to 13th in the standings, a fall that cost him 5 playoff bonus points on top of everything else. Bubba Wallace did not accept the ruling quietly. Says advancing your position, which I did not do, Wallace said to a group of media members after the penalty was issued. I stayed 3rd, and I was all over the brakes to make sure I did not advance. As soon as I turned, I was like, I am going to wreck. I got on the brakes, kept it underneath me, and still ended up side by side. He went further, explaining that he deliberately backed out of the move the moment he realized it was illegal. That move should have propelled us to the lead. And it didn't, because I knew it was wrong, because my car did not like that move. We will see what we can do, but I did not advance my position. I stayed 3rd from the entry to 3, all the way until 50 yards away gave us a shot. And that last detail is the key wrinkle in this whole penalty. The telemetry showed Wallace was hard on the brakes, actively trying to hand the spot back, while Ty Gibbs and his bumper kept pushing him from behind, shoving him from 3rd to 2nd while he was still below the line. Wallace bolted over to his 2311 racing hauler to review the data with crew chief Charles Dennicky and Dave Rogers, the director of competition for 2311 Racing. After briefly evaluating their case, the trio walked to the NASCAR hauler for a 31-minute meeting with officials. They brought their evidence, they pleaded their case, and they got nowhere, because yellow line calls are not appealable. Case closed. A penalty is a penalty, Wallace said as he departed the series hauler. But here is the thing. The penalty was not even the first disaster of his day. To understand the full picture, we have to rewind to the end of Stage 2. Bubba Wallace was running in 6th place coming to the green-white checkered finish of the stage when he threw a late block on a charging Ty Gibbs. Blocking in Atlanta is incredibly dangerous. The closing speeds are massive, far more punishing than at a wider drafting track like Talladega, and a trailing driver with a huge run simply cannot vanish when the car ahead moves down. Ty Gibbs had that huge run and nowhere to go. He hit Wallace square in the bumper and spun him out, sending the number 23 careening through the infield grass. A solid stage finish, and the valuable stage points that came with it vanished in an instant. And here is the irony that makes this story so strange. Ty Gibbs is the same driver who shoved Wallace into the runner-up spot on the final lap. In a single race, he played both the villain who wrecked him and the assist who nearly pushed him to a win. After the race, the tension boiled over on pit road. Ty Gibbs walked up to Bubba Wallace intending to apologize for the Stage 2 contact, and the conversation went sideways immediately. "I just said lift," Wallace noted after the discussion. "I said there's an opportunity to give, and you didn't." He was like, "Well, don't block me." It's like, "Bro, you hit me square in the bumper. The block was well ahead. You seen it coming." Then Wallace delivered the line that sent shockwaves through the Toyota camp. "But yeah, that's Toyota teammates. We don't race very well together." Ty Gibbs fired back with his own version of events. "I went to tell him sorry because he cleared himself, and then, unfortunately, he showed a lot of disrespect," Gibbs stated. "It seems like it didn't work out for him. I tried to help him out there at the end and push him to win. This was not just a random on-track scuffle between two drivers. Manufacturer teammates in NASCAR are expected to draft together, work together, and protect each other's track position. It is not written in any rulebook, but it might as well be law. What happened on pit road was a public crack in the Toyota alliance. And then came the twist that turned this from a driver dispute into a full-blown storyline. Denny Hamlin weighed in. Understand the impossible position Hamlin occupies here. He is the co-owner of 2311 Racing alongside basketball legend Michael Jordan, which makes him Bubba Wallace's boss. At the same time, he drives for Joe Gibbs Racing, which makes him Ty Gibbs' teammate. He is also the current championship points leader. On his Actions Detrimental podcast, Hamlin sided with Ty Gibbs on the Stage 2 incident. "My perspective is both guys should look at it through the other guy's perspective," said Hamlin. Then he laid out his blocking credo. "I've always thought, generally speaking, when it comes to blocking, a block is fine. It can be as late as it needs to be as long as you're clear. You can make the block as late as you want to make it, as long as it doesn't require the person coming with the run to check up." And then came the hammer. "I definitely think if you make a block that is forcing others to check up hard, you have to be okay with the consequence that that person is not going to lift enough to save you." On this specific incident, he was direct. And I think this was one of those situations where it was a tough ask to ask the 54 to check up that much. There was just so big of a speed variance. He closed the door completely with one sentence. I just don't think that's a reasonable ask of anyone. Now, before anyone claims Hamlin was simply picking on Wallace, there is a consistency point that matters. Hamlin also called out his own other driver, Tyler Reddick, for late blocking in the same race that forced competitors to lift. "I was a little upset with the 45 as well," he admitted. This was not personal. This was Hamlin setting a standard for how he wants both of his cars racing on superspeedways. And here is the nuance most of the coverage missed. Hamlin actually defended Wallace's final lap move. It was the only percentage shot he had of winning is to get 3 wide and hopefully get a push, and he just barely crossed over there, Hamlin said. He explained that Carson Hocevar made a stutter step move toward the bottom that complicated things, and he described why the yellow line is nearly invisible from inside the cockpit at nearly 190 miles per hour, comparing the flat backstretch to looking at a landing strip for an airplane. But he also defended NASCAR's call. "When I watched it, I was thinking that that's definitely going to be a penalty, because I've been penalized for it before. So Hamlin effectively split the baby. Right move going for the win, right call by NASCAR, wrong ask on the block. Was this smart leadership or a team chemistry time bomb? The case for Hamlin is that it sets a consistent racing standard, protects 2311 Racing's reputation in the garage, and values honesty over performative loyalty. The case against is just as strong. Wallace was already having a brutal day, and being publicly second-guessed by your own boss stings, especially given their history. Wallace has flashed the middle finger at Hamlin after a race before, so this relationship already carries friction. And the playoff stakes could not be higher. Wallace now sits 13th in the standings, just 55 points above the cut line, down from 83. He has finished outside the top 20 in 6 of his last 9 races, and Joey Logano sits only 8 points below the cut line. Wallace said it himself. Everyone behind us in points is like, oh, 23. They see that and are licking their chops. With the position that we are in, we're not safe. Best case, Wallace and Gibbs clear the air, Hamlin's comments land as tough but fair coaching, and Toyota communication improves. Worst case, this becomes the first visible crack in a growing rift heading into the postseason. And with North Wilkesboro Speedway hosting its first points race since 1996 this Sunday, the next chapter arrives immediately. So, was Denny Hamlin right to call out his own driver in public, or should team owners always back their guys no matter what? Drop your take in the comments. Are you Team Bubba Wallace or Team Denny Hamlin? Because this Toyota storyline is far from over.